Hi semua. In this lesson, I will talk about the carbohydrates, one of the molecules of life that we have to know. Firstly, what are the carbohydrates? The carbohydrates are actually organic molecules, meaning that the carbohydrates will be having the carbon atoms, hydrogen, and also the oxygen. There are three classes of carbohydrates that we need to know. Number one will be the monosaccharides, the simple sugar. Number two will be the disaccharides, the double sugar. And number three will be the polysaccharides, or the complex sugar. In this particular diagram, we can see some examples of the carbohydrates. When we refer to the monosaccharides, simple sugar, we can see that the monosaccharides can be grouped based on the number of carbon atoms in their molecules. For example, the trio sugar is a type of monosaccharide that will be having 3 carbon atoms in its molecule. Meanwhile, the pentose sugar is referring to a type of monosaccharide that will be having 5 carbon atoms in their molecule. And another one will be the hexose sugar. This is the type of monosaccharide that will be having 6 carbon atoms in its molecule. Among these examples of the monosaccharides, maybe we should give a little bit of priority on the glucose, because this is one of the most important type of monosaccharide that is considered as the main source of energy in life. And when we focus on the disaccharides, maybe we will need to know about the maltose, the sucrose, and also the lactose. Meanwhile, when we refer to the polysaccharides, we need to know a little bit more about the starch, the glycogen, and also the cellulose. Firstly, what are the monosaccharides? This will be referring to the simple sugars. Why? Why they are called as the simple sugars? Because they cannot be broken down into a smaller molecule. So that is the most simplest form of sugar. And the characteristic of the monosaccharides that they are all sweet tasting, they are soluble in water, they can be crystallized, and all monosaccharides are considered as reducing agents. The monosaccharides can become the monomers to form many other types of disaccharides and polysaccharides. And one of the most important example among all monosaccharides will be the glucose. In this particular diagram, we can see the structure of the glucose molecule. And we can see that there will be this carbon number 1 for the glucose molecule over here. And right here will be the carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4, carbon number 5, and carbon number 6. That is why glucose is a type of hexose, which is the 6 carbon sugar. And this is actually the ring structure of a particular type of glucose, which we call as the alpha glucose molecule. And there is actually another type of glucose that we might need to know. Over here, on the right hand side, we can see another type of glucose molecule. We call it as the beta glucose molecule. The alpha glucose and the beta glucose molecules are actually isomers, meaning that they are very, very similar to each other. So what's the difference? The difference will be about the hydroxyl group that are positioned at the carbon number 1 of the glucose molecule. If we refer to the molecule of the alpha glucose, we should notice that the hydroxyl, the OH, is actually located at the bottom part of the carbon number 1. Meanwhile, for the beta glucose molecule, the hydroxyl group is positioned above the carbon number 1 for this particular molecule. That will be the difference between the two. Now let's move on to the disaccharides. They are considered as a double sugar molecule. Okay, why? Because one particular molecule of disaccharide consists of two molecules of monosaccharides that are joined together. The monosaccharides will be joined together due to a special type of bond that is called as the glycosidic bond. And this glycosidic bond is formed due to the process of the condensation reaction. This is a type of reaction that occurs when a molecule of water is removed. And the characteristics of the disaccharide is quite similar to the characteristic of the monosaccharides, in which all of them are sweet tasting. They are also water soluble, and they are something that can be crystallized. Over here, we can see the three most popular examples of the disaccharides. Firstly, the maltose. The maltose or the malt sugar is actually a type of disaccharide that consists of two alpha glucose molecules. And secondly, will be the lactose or the milk sugar, which is a combination of the glucose and galactose molecules. And the third one is the sucrose, or we can call them as the cane sugar. This is actually a molecule that is a combination of the glucose and also the fructose. We need to know the formation of the maltose, in which the maltose is formed due to the joining of two molecules of alpha glucose molecules. In this particular diagram, we can see these two alpha glucose molecules side by side, and in order to join them together, the process of condensation need to occur, in which one molecule of water need to be removed. In order to remove that one molecule of water, this hydroxyl group at the first carbon atom of this particular alpha glucose need to be removed together with this particular hydrogen atom from this carbon number 4 of this other alpha glucose molecule. So as you can see, a water molecule is produced as a byproduct. And over here we can see that the two alpha glucose molecules are already joined together by a special bond known as the alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. Okay, why? Why alpha? Why 1 and 4? Because this particular glycosidic bond actually joins two alpha glucose molecules together, and the bond is located between carbon number 1 of this particular alpha glucose molecule and carbon number 4 of this other alpha glucose molecule. If we want to break down this particular maltose, then another type of reaction need to occur, and that will be hydrolysis, in which a water molecule need to be added to this maltose, and the water molecule will break down this alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, and this will again form the two alpha glucose molecules. Now let's move on to the third type of carbohydrates. That will be the polysaccharides. This will be a type of polymer in which one molecule of polysaccharide consists of many monomers, which are the monosaccharides. The monosaccharides are joined together due to the process of condensation as well. And if you want to break down the polysaccharide, then the process of hydrolysis need to occur. The characteristic of the polysaccharides will be they are all considered as large molecules or complex type of sugar. They are not sweet, they are not soluble in water, and they cannot be crystallized. And over here, you can see the 3 types of polysaccharides that we need to know. The first type is starch. And actually, there are 2 types of starch. One will be the amylose. The second one will be the amylopectin. Starch is one of the molecule that can be found in the cell of the plants. Meanwhile, the second type will be the glycogen. And the glycogen is one of the storage material in the animal cells and also the human cells. The third type of polysaccharide will be the cellulose, which is an important component of the plant cell wall. We need to know the differences between all the 3 types of polysaccharides. So by referring to this table, hopefully you will notice the differences among the types of polysaccharides. Basically, you can differentiate them based on the monomers, the type of the monomers, and whether the polysaccharides has got some branchings. And what about the bonds, the type of glycosidic bonds in their molecule, and also the difference in terms of functions. And so that's all for the carbohydrates. I will see you guys again in some other lesson. Bye bye.